You know, it's funny. I almost did an audition, which sounds just completely insane in retrospect. But at the time, I'd recently graduated from my alma mater, which was Rollins College back in Florida, and had gotten some guest spots and little bits in some films that had come to town, commercials, that sort of work, in order to help pay tuition and books and that sort of thing. And shortly after graduating, had ended up landing this guest spot on this WB show called Safe Harbor. And while I was filming Safe Harbor, one of the actors I got to work with was a gentleman by the name of Christopher Kamen Lee, who had been the Red Ranger on In Space 2 seasons prior to mine. And funny enough, I had no sooner gotten on the show, and they announced literally while we were filming, hey, the WB just let us know that they've pulled the plug, the show's canceled, we're wrapping the season. And I was like, well, this is a real bummer. But through Christopher Kamen Lee and his then girlfriend, who was working in post-production on the show and doing some writing, she had said, hey, I know, Safe Harbor's wrapping up and stuff like that. What are your intentions? I said, well, I'm gonna go out to LA. And she said, would you be interested in auditioning for the show called Power Rangers? And I said, what, you mean the kids show Power Rangers? And I never watched an episode at that point. And she said, yeah, no, that show. And I'd known that Chris had come from Power Rangers, just during working with him. And she said, well, Iris Hampton, the casting director, and Jonathan, I know that they're trying to find the Red Ranger, and they've kind of locked up a good part of the cast, but they're having a really hard time finding their guy because they're looking for a specific, look in this kind of all-American sort of thing. And she was like, look, I just really feel like, you'd fit what they're looking for. If you're interested in auditioning, I'll make the introduction. And so I was completely unfamiliar with the show, and I went back. I said, well, let me think about it. And I talked to my parents, and I said, so I got this offer to audition for this kids show. And at the time, I'd kind of been screen testing for soap operas and some other stuff. And I said, I don't know if I want to audition for it. And they're like, you just got out of school. Like, you got to find a job. And the fact that you could even audition for the thing, go ahead and do it. And I said, okay, fine. In and of itself, it's a story on, coming out here. But I was pretty unfamiliar with the series, other than just the phenomenon of it.
The signal is calling, our planet is falling. The danger will test you. Better make it a Lightspeed rescue.
The audition process was lengthy. I think I had to go back 8 times because it was a revolving door that just kept bringing in every actor they could possibly get their hands on and pairing us up, seeing who looks the best together, who meshes well, I suppose. My manager suggested that I wear spandex, so I went in a tiny, tiny spandex dress, and nobody else did. Everyone else was wearing normal clothing, so I believe Sean actually said that he, based on what I was wearing, automatically thought I was going to be a mean girl. Because it was a high neck, silver lurex, shiny, very mini spandex dress. And platform metallic rainbow boots.
Let's go help those people.
Right!
Go!
Once I booked the role, we went immediately into an intensive training. It was 3-4 weeks of training, 4 hours a day with the Japanese stunt team, who are incredible. With Rangers, with the helmets, they're hardened plastic. They can do all of these flips and twists, doubles even, land softly on the ground, roll out of it, helmet never touches. I mean, it's incredible what they can do. So that 3-4 week initial training session with all the cast, because I was the only martial artist in the cast at the time, it was like a dream come true. Training with these guys every single day, being paid for it, and then knowing that, okay, I'm actually gonna be one of these Power Rangers. So that was incredible because we did everything from A to Z, fight choreography, basic training as a martial artist. It was easy for me to jump in, but there were modifications. Obviously, regular martial art techniques don't necessarily apply. Things have to be modified for camera angles, the size of the movements, making things bigger than they normally are. Like, you never throw a real hook punch. It's always a big, over-exaggerated hook punch, but it looks better. And Power Rangers, they're known known, and these Japanese stunt guys, they're known for their costume acting and making things look so precise and perfect and big, and that's what kids respond to. They see them move and they look like these superheroes. It was amazing.
I didn't pull my punches or my kicks. It was the most exhilarating thing I'd ever encountered. These men are letting me hit them. Oh my God. And they are such tough guys, I think. And it didn't really hurt when I did. They thought it was funny, so they let me.
Because of your skills, you've been chosen to use these weapons to defend the city. To become Lightspeed Power Rangers.
You know, they really did a great job casting the folks I got to work with.
You want to destroy Mariner Bay? You must go through us to do it. Gladly. Ready?
Lightspeed rescue.
Sean was awesome. He was always so calm and so understanding. When everything was hitting the fan, he'd be the one of us just calmly nodding and accepting, keeping the rest of us on an even keel.
He was our leader on the screen, off the screen. He was great in terms of helping to keep the camaraderie going. He was very mature, had worked very hard in theater, and he had moved out from Florida and very serious about his acting. We all were. You know, we were all motivated, we were young, we were hungry, and we didn't just want to do a good job for this show, but we wanted this to be, you know, a great stepping stone for our careers. And so he was great, you know, as a team leader in many ways, on and off the set.
Chad, you okay? What happened?
I don't know. Everything happened so fast. That monster. Olympius.
Mike is one of the more impressive human beings I've ever met. From day one, he's a phenomenal martial artist.
Mike made us look good. The stunt guys came to Mike for moves. On the very first day, he was doing 720s, and they were gathered around, maybe you could show us how to do this. The rest of us stood back. Mike needs to be in front when we're fighting, please.
But the thing is, as much as martial arts is part of his life, that really isn't the guy. I mean, he is so intelligent. He is so compassionate. He is so selfless. Truly that team player. He's funny. He's personable. Incredible dad. You know, businessman. I mean, with XMA now and stuff. I mean, it's doing some of the ESPN commentary. I mean, he was one of those people that once you first meet him, you realize this guy, nothing's going to stop him. He's just going to be uber successful in whatever he does because he just kind of had the whole package.
Well, I hope you brought your umbrella, because you're gonna get wet! That was Chad Lee, ladies and gentlemen! Yes!
The character itself was great for me because I swam as a kid year-round, 8 years competitively, loved the water in every way, and so it fit me very well, and so it was a natural progression into the character. It didn't feel like a stretch for me.
Be careful.
I actually got trained in scuba and certified during the show to do several episodes with the mermaid in particular, Ocean Blue and Neptune's Daughter. Spent a lot of time out in Long Beach, Catalina Island. It was incredible because it wasn't just being certified in scuba and doing the actual episodes, but it was the time bonding with the cast, going through that experience and developing that skill that I could carry on. And, you know, it's something that I love to do. I wish I could do more of it.
For 18 years, I've been training you for this. It's yours, if you want it.
Allison's awesome as well. It's funny, she was a little bit like a little sister at some point in the show, even though there was only a few years age difference between us, but she was fresh out of high school.
She brought a great energy, young, naive, but full of life and energy.
It was neat. There was I don't mean it to sound degrading at all, but like a childlike innocence in her persona and her personality in real life. And it was, I think, a real kind of growth experience for her as a woman, as a human being.
Plus, you know, being the Pink Ranger, you know, the Pink Ranger as a female gets the most attention. All the girls want to be the Pink Ranger for Halloween. And she was great. Great on the set, hardworking, great with kids because we did so many different charity events, you know, Make-A-Wish Foundation, working with different, you know, youth groups, and she was always out there, you know, leading it. So it was good.
Why do you always have to be the center of attention?
Well, I don't have to be. It's just that I usually am.
Keith was another one of those guys, kind of like Mike. You're like, this guy just has it, you know?
He didn't get the job originally. After the fact, we all found out he had auditioned like 8 times, more than any of us, and they offered the role to somebody else, but they couldn't work it out. He was the number 2 pick. In the end, everyone agreed, all the producers, everyone was like, that was the right choice because he was just a natural.
I think his headshot to audition for the show was a Polaroid. The guy had basically no acting experience whatsoever, but just, you know, when the camera turns on, he was just so natural. It was just one of those kind of day one, almost positive jealousies I had where I'm like, how is this guy so good without like pursuing this? He was just so natural and so funny.
Charismatic, good-looking, articulate, personable, funny. Because of his background in music, he had a lot of experience performing in front of people, so he was very comfortable in front of the camera. That helped put everybody else at ease.
Keith was hilarious. He was always singing. Always singing. If you couldn't find Keith, you could follow the sound of him.
His singing was ridiculous, and it was great because he would like, you know, do these little shows, and he had a group, and he was like, you know, laying down R&B, and, you know, but it's just, being on Dreamgirls wasn't a surprise. It was just like, yep, there you go. I mean, the guy had the acting chops, and he clearly had the vocal ability.
I remember watching him on the red carpet at the Oscars, interviewing, and I was like, you know, it was like he was doing so well, and at the height of his, then it was the height of his career because, you know, he had that starring role, and it was just great to see, you know, one of our cast members excel to that level, and he was just enjoying it, he was loving it, and it was funny. He would always say, because he was struggling the most coming out on his own, he was the oldest of the cast, and he would always say, hey, you know, if I need and I come to you for a loan in a year or 2 years, just remember we did this together, right? And you know, how ironic, he's the one that's out there on the red carpet. So that was great to see.
Sorry. Looks like I made it just in time.
Sasha, she was Yellow Ranger, and she was like my partner in crime on the show. They tend to write the storyline so that way the Rangers kind of pair up. I had a side storyline with her, Green Ranger, and our physicist, Monica. They had a little thing going, but Sasha was great, you know, beautiful, talented, tomboy at heart. Her role fit her perfectly.
She truly was Kelsey-ish. You know, she rock climbs, skydives, does everything. I mean, she learned how to scuba dive while we were on the show, and not to, like, she might be embarrassed by saying it, but we learned after she got her scuba certification that she's scared of fish. And it was just one of these bizarre things where it's like, you know, she just did everything, especially, you know, from being an athlete. The woman was just in phenomenal shape, phenomenal shape.
Sasha was very patient with me. I was the young idiot on set, and she was oh so patient, even when I accidentally was fooling around in the hallway and kicked her in the head. I'm still not sure how that happened, but I just clocked her in the forehead with a foot kick. Yeah, it was really sad. I really expected her to knock me down to the ground, but she just rubbed her forehead and patted me on the back and walked away. Like, oh dear.
She was just grateful. She had worked so hard, had done so many other jobs, didn't get the breaks when she probably should have. Got this one, was just super grateful to be on the show, to be working, to be able to pursue this career in LA, and that's what made it so easy, you know. Everything was easy. That's what I remember. There was no struggle, there was no ego with all of us, you know. It was just easy.
Power down.
Ryan? Ryan, you're back. I hope you never leave again.
I won't, little sister. This is exactly where I'm supposed to be.
Everybody loved Rhett.
He was the boy band guy.
He was a singer of some sort as well, like Rhett, boy band singer.
He was really riding that Backstreet Boys NSYNC sort of wave and had his own pop group.
So he not only looked like a member of NSYNC, but he sounded like it. Every woman on set was in love with him. Actually, every woman on set was in love with Sean, too, though.
And also like Keith, you know, talented, where you can act and sing, because I can't carry a note. If someone offered me $1 million right now to sing something, I'd happily do it, but I would make a complete arse out of myself.
I want you to meet the genius behind everything. From you rescue morphers to your newest weapons. Rangers, this is Miss Fairweather.
Thank you, Captain. Welcome to Lightspeed.
Monica was a Miss America pageant contender. That's why I think she just always, like, the worst conditions. We could be in 150-degree heat, baking for hours, and she would be smiling, trying to make us smile along with her. Every set needs a Monica.
No, it's no problem. I'll show you the move. Let him show up again and see what happens.
Well, there is a time to celebrate, but this is not it. You see, now Diabolical knows that you exist. You think this fight was tough? Just wait.
Oh, Ron, we didn't hang out very much, but I respected him as an actor. If I was in a scene with him and stuck, he would always kind of take me off to the side and be like, it's okay. Just try it this way, relax, breathe. You get through this. And it's lunch in 20 minutes, so if not, we'll do it later. So Ron was my second dad.
Don't tell me. We're going in that submarine, aren't we?
Turning on the TV and watching the first episode of Power Rangers Lightspeed Rescue was like, you're living the dream, right? You hope for it, you audition for it, and you move to LA for it. I mean, this has been in the making for me since I was, I don't know, 3 years old. Ever since I can remember watching those Kung Fu movies on TV, that's what I wanted to do.
Mike Chat was kind enough to suggest that we all kind of have I guess a sleepover of sorts. So we all got together for dinner the night before, Friday evening before the first episode aired.
Everybody's families went, and it was really funny because the 3 women that came, we all dressed exactly the same. I have pictures from that night. We all have red shirts and shiny black pants on. It's ridiculous.
We had a sleepover at my house. All the cast came over. We literally camped out in the living room in front of the TV.
Woke up at 7 o'clock, crawled over to the TV set, watched our first episode in awe. Like, that's us, you guys? Oh my God, that's us.
But then comes the time where, okay, you get through the dialogue, and then you get to the action, and we're at a disadvantage, and then it's time to morph. And then it's like, oh boy, everyone starts sitting up. We're like, okay, this is it. Like, this is the moment that you wait for, because now you're going to turn into a Power Ranger, and you're going to get to see it with, we didn't get to see any of the CG, effects before the show. They wanted it to be a surprise. So we didn't know what the morphing sequence was actually going to look like. They described it to us. Okay, so you're going to go Lightspeed Rescue, open the morpher, punch in the code, and then the shield's going to come over us, right? Well, we didn't know what it was going to look like. So that moment, we're all like getting ready, and then of course the way they do it is it's just like one after another, red, green, blue, yellow, pink, and that was it. Like, that was the moment where it was real, and we're like, okay, like we're Power Rangers. Like, see, we just saw it.
None of us could remember the morphing sequence. They showed us for the first time in the middle of the devastation of Los Angeles, right before we were morphing, for the first time. The stunt guys come up, they discuss it for a few minutes, and then they whip through it and say, okay, go. All I know is it ended with pulling the morpher open. And that's how they would usually just skip to that part for me. Like, if they showed the morphing sequence for the other Rangers, they would just kind of get me going. And to this day, if someone asks me how to do it, I will ask them how to do it.
I do seminars around the world, and I was actually just doing one recently. And all the kids, they wanted to learn the morphing sequence. So I taught them your Lightspeed Rescue, and we went through it, and I taught them about the body position, the posturing, saying the words nice and strong, using conviction with your voice and following through. I said, and then we punch in the code, and the kid went like this, and he looked at me, and he goes, thought I was going to morph, right? I didn't realize it, but he just stared at me. I was like, what happened? I was like, what? And he's like, you didn't morph. I was like, oh. It was so real to him. Like, he really thought I was going to stand. I was right there in front of him in the group, and I was going to morph. I was like, I'm off duty right now. I don't have my morpher on me. Like, I actually need the morpher to morph. You know that, right? He's like, oh, right, okay, yeah, that makes sense. And it's just so interesting. And this wasn't like a 5-year-old. This was like an 8-year-old. And so I'm sure he understood the reality of me being a real person. But in that moment, when we went through the motions and he's thinking, oh, this is it, he's going to morph, like, he really thought it was going to happen. So the power that and the influence that Power Rangers has is incredible.
There was a mother and her son. They were able to make it on set, and I forget exactly how it came about, but she offhandedly mentioned, I was just I talked with her son, and we kind of played around and that sort of thing, and then she said, "Thanks so much. It's been great." She's like, if only I could just get him to brush his teeth. He just hates brushing his teeth and blah blah blah. So I was just joking around. I said, "Hey pal, come over here." I was like, "What is this? You don't brush your teeth? Come on, all Power Rangers brush their teeth. Yeah, you got to brush your teeth. It's it's what the cool kids do." I had no idea, but the mom ended up writing me a letter like 2 or 3 months later and said, "You're not gonna believe this, but he brushes his teeth 3 times a day now, and like I never have to ask him." And that was one of those other things that just being a Power Ranger, realizing like the impact you can have on people, because I wasn't trying to, I was really genuinely joking around with him, but I had no idea that offhanded, comment of like, "Come on, kid, you should brush your teeth. Power Rangers do it." That literally the mom was like, "This is amazing. You absolutely changed his behavior for the better." So I don't know, maybe somebody doesn't have cavities, because I was joking around one day on set.
While we were doing the show, that was one part of it, and realizing, oh my gosh, like I'm playing this character. And then as we went through the season, doing all the charitable work, Ronald McDonald Foundation, Make-A-Wish, youth groups, and just meeting people.
Power Rangers and Saban did a lot of outreach, especially with Make-A-Wish Foundation. And coincidentally, Make-A-Wish had been something that had been important in my family prior to my time on Power Rangers. Something that my grandparents and parents had tried to contribute to and be a part of and stuff. So I was well aware of the program prior to getting on Rangers. But when all of a sudden I found out that we were going to be able to interact with some of the Wish kids, and the fact that their wish would be to meet the Power Rangers was so humbling, that those moments, getting to meet some of the parents and getting to meet some of those kids, are going to stick with me forever. It's one thing to meet a fan and have them say something really nice, and it's something that I can remember a lot of interaction with fans that was just really cool and stuff I take with me, and it's always nice to hear when someone appreciates your work or got something out of it, or had a fun time, or brings them childhood memories. But to meet someone who is battling a life-threatening disease and their wish is to meet you, I mean, there isn't much that's more humbling than that, and it really puts life into perspective. And that left an impression on me. My time on the show left an impression, but those interactions, those specific moments, left such an indelible mark on my soul, on who I am as a person, that it will be something late in life I will continue to look back upon, and great kids, great people. Great that they do that.
Sorry about the aqua base, Captain.
But at least Queen Banshira and her demons are gone forever. Mariner Bay is safe again.
Now we finally have time to be a normal family.
Being part of the 20-year Power Ranger legacy it's hard to put words to it.
It's amazing to be part of something so long-lived and with such a rich following of fans.
How much they dig the show, and the number of people that have had positive things to say about it, and just those random folks that'll come up to you on the street, or whatever, or write you a letter and stuff like that. It meant so much.
Not to be cliche, but it boggles the mind that there's so many people out there that love this show. It's kind of humbling to be one of them.
They made dolls out of us. Like, we were action figures, right? I mean, how cool is that?
That's one of those things on like the bucket list of life. Like, you don't usually think about, hey, I'd love to have an action figure, but the fact that you get an action figure is pretty cool.
Lots of people make it to the big screen, and they're in films and TV shows, but they don't have an action figure of their own to show for it. So as corny as that may sound, it was like, hey, look, That's me. So it was awesome.